Hey friends, I hope you're having a wonderful night. Today I want to talk to you about something that is very common, I think, with kind-hearted people, with generous natured people, um, to have hard boundaries with narcissists can feel sometimes like we're being the bad person, like we're not being forgiving, especially if you are a believer in a, if you believe in God, you are a follower of Jesus Christ. You're going to get a lot of conflicting messages from other people, or maybe it's just your own internal feelings where you're going to have guilt and shame with the way that you're surviving. If that survival means no contact or hard boundaries, if it, even I'll tell you, I really struggled at first, like, how can I go from loving my mom so much and being willing to do anything to help her to just the next day, like, I'm done, I'm done. And, that was hard, like, getting the voicemails that she's crying and she's sobbing, to not respond to that felt really hard. Now, luckily for me, my mom would then follow up those calls with nasty text messages and nasty voicemails, and the anger and the rage would come out and she would expose herself. But had she been smarter about it and more controlled, she could have kept that to herself and I wouldn't have seen it. So I think that you can very easily struggle with guilt for either going no contact or putting up hard boundaries or telling them no, and also for the resentment, possible resentment in your heart, the anger and the resentment that you're like, I don't want to be a resentful person, and I don't want to feel that way, especially towards my mom that I love so much. And there's guilt that is heaped on you. So I just want to encourage you, my friends, like to trust yourself. Trust yourself. Know that you are a good person. Know that you are a kind person. Know that you are a generous person. But this narcissist is asking you to offer yourself up to be abused. And that's just not fair. That's not fair. You don't have to offer yourself up to be abused. You don't have to offer yourself up to be entangled in gossip and triangulation. You don't have to be their punching bag. You don't have to be their ATM. You don't have to be their security net every time they do something stupid and irresponsible and now you have to go and fix it. It's not your job. Like, there is personal responsibility and they have to be personally accountable for their own actions. And one of the things that they have to accept responsibility for is when you mistreat people, when you break confidence, when you abuse people, when you're cruel to people, when you lie to them, when you steal from them, when you sow division between them and their spouse or them and their children, there are consequences to all of that. And yeah, just because they are valued family members does not give them a free pass to abuse you. And if you feel guilty for being angry, or for feeling bitter or resentful about how one sibling was treated as opposed to the way you were treated, or if you feel angry and resentful that your spouse is so mean and awful to you, but out in public they're just charming and wonderful and you're angry, because you're like, liar, liar. But then you wrestle with that guilt. So I'm going to say this to you, my friend, okay? bitterness is not good. Resentfulness is not good. Anger is not good. Gossiping and talking smack about somebody, even if it's true, none of that stuff is good. It's not good for you, and it doesn't help you. So I am with you that that's not good, and you don't want to hold on to it. It's not good for you. But you don't have to feel guilty about it. It's a natural process, and just actively work on releasing that, letting it go. And the number one thing that I'm going to recommend for you to do to get that state of peace, to open yourself and prepare your heart for that state of peace, is to forgive. Forgive and let go is not the same thing as allowing yourself to be abused over and over and over again. So, for example, I forgive my mother for sabotaging, my marriage. I forgive her for that. Don't like it, and I'm definitely not going to let her do it again, and I'm not going to give her an opportunity to do it again. But I forgive her for that. I feel bad for her that she would need to do something like that to feel good. But I'm going to keep my boundary, and I'm going to let it go, and I'm not going to be talking bad about her in my heart, and I'm not going to be happy when she's suffering. And just accept the situation for what it is. Remove yourself from the situation if that's possible, and you can forgive and still not have anything to do with somebody. You just leave them to live their life, and you move forward and live yours. And remember all those, when you remember those things that were hurtful, just keep that in mind and don't do it to other people. Remember that. If your mother was cruel, remember those hard remarks and don't do it to your kids. If you didn't like the way she spoke to your dad, don't talk to your husband like that. And something good will come from all of this. I hope you have a good night, and I'll talk to you again soon.